Let's get to the Socceroos. They meet South Korea in the final group match, in the final, of course, of this tournament. And in the group match, they lost 1-0 to this team, but I think it might be a bit different. To tell us all about it, we're joined by Francis Leach, who's been commentating throughout the Asian Cup, and it's also predicted absolutely spot on the quarterfinals and the semi-finals.
You've put me under pressure now. You're asking me to do crystal ball the final too.
You put yourself under pressure by getting it right. Now, how are you feeling about the final? It seems to me it's going to be vastly different to the pool match.
They're always different. Finals are different because the nervousness that comes with the early part of a big final. Nobody wants to make a mistake. Nobody wants to concede early, and everything is on the line. So it will be a tense affair. There's no doubt about it. But two contrasting styles between these two teams. The South Koreans have played 5 games, haven't conceded a goal. That's 480 minutes of football without having to pick the ball out of the back of the net. And the Socceroos have been the highest scoring team in the competition with 12 goals, 10 different goal scorers. So though Tim Cahill has stolen the headlines, he's not the only player that scored for the Socceroos. The only caveat to all of that is that the Socceroos didn't score against South Korea and were beaten by them in the group game in those rather withering conditions in Brisbane in match day 3 of the competition. So it's sort of a delicious conundrum that's been set up and a really interesting sort of test of the two philosophies. It sort of divides people along personality lines. Are you the optimist that believes you can go out there and outscore your opponent regardless of how many they score and just send out a team to attack? Or are you the pessimist and the pragmatist that believes, well, if we don't concede, it's very hard to lose except on penalties, so we'll just set up and work really hard defensively and take our 1 or 2 chances when they present. And that seems to be the dynamic that has developed around these two teams.
Well, talk about dynamics. It seems to me that the Socceroos could not be better prepared for the final. Physically, even the fact that Mila Jedinak missed a couple of matches sort of seemed to strengthen the other players' resolve to play a part and maybe a bit of leadership as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of concern around Ivan Franjic. Like his groin looked like it was damaged late on in that game on Tuesday night in Newcastle.
He's an important player.
He is. Playing at right back. Chris Hurd had to go back to Aston Villa because he was injured pretty much before the campaign began. So there are some doubts that he can get through all 90 if it goes to 120 minutes. So someone probably will have to play out at right back, maybe Trent Sainsbury, who's done that before. Mark Milligan has played at right back early on in his career. Alex Wilkinson will be comfortable playing against the Koreans if he comes in. He was a K-League winner this year with his team Jeonbuk Motors, so he knows Korean football pretty well and the Korean mentality when it comes to the game. But the real battle will be in midfield. You see Mila Jedinak there, and he's got a massive job on Ki Sung-young, the captain of South Korea. He's a strong, big, ambitious footballer who plays at Swansea in the English Premier League. He works really hard getting forward to join in attacks. He'll drop back and help his defence, and he sets the tone for his team the way that Mila Jedinak's expected to do. So I think the form of the two captains will determine the outcome of this game. Which one of them gets on top in the midfield. They basically face off against each other, and that could be the deciding contest in the game.
The Koreans sat back in that first match against the Australians and really just backed themselves to keep the Aussies out, largely, didn't they, while the Aussies had a lot of possession. Is there any way that might play out again?
Well, the Socceroos had plenty of opportunity. See Lee Jong-yop scoring there, the 1 goal in that game. The Australians had plenty of possession. He did it again. He's an amazing player, this guy. We've talked about him. He was drafted in from the Army at the end of last year to play in this team. The Australians had plenty of possession in that game. They also had numerous chances to actually score. They were getting, by their estimation, they probably had 5 or 6 solid chances to make a difference in that game. They can't afford not to take those chances if they present tomorrow night. Now, we do have the players who are in good goal-scoring form, we saw our defenders get forward and join the party on Tuesday night early on. Obviously, all focus will be on Tim Cahill. He's a big game player. The bigger the stage, the brighter the lights, the greater the show.
They can't afford, though, to put too many players around Tim Cahill, can they? Because we saw what happened in the semi-final. Others bobbed up for Australia.
That's it. So if all the defenders get drawn to Cahill, then space opens up wide, and then you've got Robbie Cruz and Matthew Leckie and these guys who are able to try to get those balls in from wide areas. The Socceroos will try to do that. They'll try to use their pace and get down the wings, but they've got to be very careful because the Koreans have players like Sung Hyung Min and Nam Ti Hae. They're two really fast, athletic, strong midfielders who will do just the same. So if they're lazy and sloppy with the ball in midfield and give it up with their fullbacks pushing up and exposing the back four, that's when problems occur because Ange wants his players to attack and he wants those defenders to get up the ground and be available on those attacks. But if they give up possession in dangerous areas, they do expose the big defenders. So there's a bit of... He likes to roll the dice on that and he trusts his players to do it properly hopefully he's tuned them to actually bring their best to the table on Saturday night in Sydney.
Well, it's worked so far. Well done to you, mate, for covering this tournament and the tennis as well, and staying across all these international competitors. So, a quick tip.
I think there's only one goal in this. The Koreans, as I said, haven't conceded in 480 minutes. I think it's one goal, and I'm hoping it will be someone in a green and gold shirt. So I'll go 1-0 Australia.
Okay, terrific, mate. Thanks.